Good morning. It's a very impressive room. Last time I was here was for the Ebola conference, and it's still very impressive. Good morning to everybody. It's really a pleasure. Commissioner Vella, my dear friend Carmeno, thank you for being and sharing with me here. Minister Coveney and all the ministers, ambassadors, esteemed guests, and ladies and gentlemen. You know, we have come really a long way since explorers like my fellow countryman Ferdinand of Magellan. In Portuguese we say Fernão de Magalhães. Ferdinand Magellan actually launched perilous expeditions into uncharted waters. But our oceans are no less a mystery now than they were then at that time. And we rely on those vast, deep, life-giving waters to support life on our planet, to regulate climate, temperature, and weather. And yet, we have explored as little as 5% of this precious resource of ours. It will actually be our generation that will safeguard the oceans, our water, most of our planet. We rely on the oceans to feed us. We do rely on the oceans for our water cycles. Our oceans, they provide life and they provide wealth through commerce and transport. And yet, it's just unbearable that we continue to pollute, to overfish, and to acidify. Coral reefs, fish stocks, and ocean mammals are declining at an alarming rate as we push vital marine ecosystems to the brink. The Earth cannot support indefinite exponential pressure. Only through efficient ecological use of energy and natural resources can we expect marine ecosystems to sustain vast biodiversity. Therefore, I think we have and we need to build and invest in a blue economy that actually both protects and harvests our ocean's abundance so that this generation may actually prosper and future generations still reap the benefits. Together, we can achieve these by improving our ocean observation and forecasting capacity by increasing our understanding of ocean dynamics. All the while disseminating knowledge of these valuable resources to citizens. And so I wanted to actually have a word for someone that is not really present today, which is my predecessor, Moira Gogan-Quinn. She basically was at really the very beginning of what we call the Galloway Statement on Atlantic Ocean Cooperation that was signed 2 years ago between the US, Canada, and the EU. And it was a first important step, an important step in the right direction. And so I would really like to acknowledge her role here today and actually tell her that we'll keep doing the good job. The Atlantic Ocean is a shared resource that comes with collective responsibility. Our combined efforts to map and analyze the physical, biological, geological, and chemical characteristics of the Atlantic goes hand in hand with developing new technologies and sustainable economic models. And almost 2 years after that signature of the Galloway Statement on Atlantic Ocean Cooperation, we can really celebrate many achievements and look forward to further reinforcing our collaboration. So I would like to thank our partners from Canada, from the United States, and I'd like to thank the many governments, scientific communities, and private sector representatives who got behind the idea of ocean-wide research. The Galloway Statement commitment to value ongoing cooperation on ocean science and observation of the Atlantic Ocean is sustained by your efforts here today. However, like the ocean itself, the ocean research community has no borders. This is why, particularly, I would like to welcome here today the representatives from Brazil, ambassador from South Africa, from Cape Verde, who actually join us today to talk. Really, a true transatlantic cooperation on the Atlantic Ocean cannot be confined to the northern shores of the Atlantic. The success of this initiative is intrinsically linked, actually, to its expansion from the Arctic to the Antarctic. And I've been discussing this with my colleague, Carmen Ovella, because we really deeply believe that the success will actually depend on this expansion. And only then we can actually begin to understand the risks, challenges, opportunities that we are facing. So for these reasons, I consider, and I really would like to put here today to you, that this extension of the Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance to the south of the Atlantic should be a priority for all of us. And so if we build on the successes of the last 2 years, by 2020 we can expect to have, first, a new predictive capacity for the major risks and changes of the North Atlantic Ocean circulation system. Second, an operational all-Atlantic Ocean observation and forecasting system providing real-time online data streams. Also, we hope to have mapped critical areas of the Atlantic seafloor to improve the accuracy of our predictive models. And finally, a safer operational and risk management environment for shore industries. I would say that we will also have innovation clusters for a range of new and knowledge-based and globally traded products and services, if we do our best. And really, we can expect to have, after all this work, really a deeper understanding of the critical oceanic processes that support life on our planet. So together, we are creating the capacity to understand and predict major Atlantic phenomena, from the Arctic to the Antarctic. Together, we are creating the capacity to assess the changes and risks they carry, vital capacities essential in addressing the major scientific, environmental, and political challenges and concerns actually for all of us. But as well as forging ahead with conservation and scientific cooperation, we are also creating new sectors, economic opportunities and employment. Opportunities in sectors like renewable energy. And if you look at it, by 2020, over 30% of our energy is expected to come from offshore wind. Yet, nowhere is the European skills gap more acute than in engineering, science, and technology. The blue economy will require a new workforce to maintain its new markets. And it will require us to work across many new and exciting disciplines. Energy generation is just one area providing new scientific data and opportunities to interdisciplinary research, research that leads to surprising new products from cancer treatments to new biofuels. Biotech, renewable energy, aquaculture, and mineral resources are four of the new sectors of the most potential for the creation of wealth and well-being. You know, we talk about really a lot of how innovation will come from different disciplines. And the other day I was reading a great book by an American author called Walter Isaacson, a fantastic biographer. And he was writing about innovators in this digital world. And one of the patterns that he finds in all these innovators that start from the 1830 with Ada Lovelace, the first computer programmer, a fantastic woman, the daughter of Lord Byron, to then to Alan Turing in the 1940s, the transistor, and then to other great innovators. He says there's always three patterns in this new digital world of us because there's no digital economy. All the economy is digital. And he says that the first is that in the digital world, all innovations are actually based on collaboration. if you look at everything that was done in the digital world, was actually collaborating. When in the 1940s we invented the transistor, which is a little bit of really what the steam engine was for in the Industrial Revolution, it actually was the work of people that knew about materials, people that knew about quantum physics, people that knew how to actually handle such a small artifact. And so collaboration is really the key for the future of our innovation. Secondly, that a lot of the innovation actually is driven by the users, especially in digital times. But the third point that comes here to what we're talking is that the truest creativity of all these innovators actually comes from an intersection in between arts and sciences. And I think that really, when you look to the future, you look at the innovation, it's not just about science, it's about arts and creativity. So I thought that I would share that here today, because I think we should also think about it in this field of oceans that actually gets a little bit more to my home country, a country of dreamers and navigators and poets that actually were quite good at intersection in between poetry and science. So I really want to see the European research innovation playing really a leading role. And this leading role for the blue economy is actually really what we are talking about when we talk about science diplomacy and economic prosperity that is vital to marine conservation. Marine research has been funded at the EU level for ever since the launch of the first framework program in 1984. And already since last year, Horizon 2020 has invested around 145 million euros in blue economy research projects. That is why the Commission Works Programme for the year 2016 and 17 will invest even further in bringing marine research closer to the market. Some of these initiatives, supported by the EU research funding, will be presented to you tomorrow morning. Projects that have paved the way for the cross-border cooperation in marine research. Large-scale projects such as the Eurobasin, involving international teams in the study of human and climate change on marine ecosystems. But finally, I'd like to underline the importance of ocean literacy, which is critical when it comes to protecting oceans and using social innovation to address pressing problems. When I first entered this office last year, one of really the most inspiring stories I encountered was that of a young boy called Boyan Slat, who, while scuba diving in Greece, he was at the age of 16, he was alarmed to see so much of plastic bags in the water, and that there was more actually plastic bags than fish. And while still in secondary school, in the Netherlands, he developed a concept of passive cleanup of the oceans. He then quit his first year of aerospace engineering studies in the Netherlands and focused all his time on further developing his concept. Together with a team of 100 people, mostly on a voluntary basis, he carried out an extensive feasibility study. And it found that the concept could actually indeed be implemented, and Boyan was able to raise over $2 million in crowdfunding for a pilot phase. Boyan engaged those around him, building a community that is working together to solve a pressing environmental problem. I think that's the kind of spirit I see in this room today, the spirit of actually making the vision a reality. And it's time for a modern day Magellans to actually set their sails. The adventure we embarked on 2 years ago to create the best possible science and knowledge to inform decisions on the Atlantic Ocean marked the dawn of an entirely new kind of explorations. The question is no longer what lies beyond the horizon or who can actually get there first. The question is how can we best work together to protect our greatest natural resource while enjoying the wonders it has to offer us. Boyan Slat puts it wonderfully. He says, and I quote, "Human history is basically a list of things that couldn't be done, but then they were done." It's time to save the oceans so that future generations can say, we did what couldn't be done. We brought nations together to end decades of marine pollution and neglected, actually creating knowledge, wealth, and employment along the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your conference. I'm very happy to be here, and I wish you an energizing discussion. Thank you.